Hello, everybody. This is Frank with Iron Age News on the South Florida Conservative News Service. It is Wednesday, June 18th, around 7:30 a.m. And as you know, we've been doing a number of videos trying to get to the bottom of the issues with sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, the mindset of these governors and city mayors, a number of which we found to be, if not directly socialistly influenced operatives, really, really darn close. And as everyone will tell you, this is not just an all of a sudden thing. This is the compilation of many different subversive programs coming together at this time like a perfect storm of socialist bullshit. Now, those of you who see the videos also of all these people, oh, my friend, he got taken away. They're just going through the streets and picking people up and all this kind of nonsense. Because it is nonsense. No one's going to spend the time on somebody who's going to get out. You're spending your time on a preset hit list so that you can grab them, get them in front of a judge if you have to, and get them out of the country. We don't want to be spending time keeping people in country because then you see issues like the siege that's going on off and on up in Essex County, New Jersey, things like that. It's just nonsense. So one of the casualties of the truth of the situation is what we're going to talk about now. The American public is being flooded with emotional headlines about so-called innocent immigrants swept up in broad ICE operations. These individuals are portrayed as victims of a rogue agency, a bunch of masked terrorists that are running through the countryside, destroying everything in its path, which sounds exactly like the Antifa protesters that we have out there now, not so much the ICE agents or any other federal marshal service that's going on. But what the part of the media won't say out loud is this: the very sanctuary policies celebrated by states like Massachusetts are directly responsible for the chaos ICE is being forced to clean up. So it's kind of convenient for them that that happens. So where are we going with this whole thing? Well, it's a win-win situation for the sanctuary cities. First of all, the idea of a sanctuary city is illegal. It will not bear a good round in the court system, but unfortunately, you have to get it there first. If you had seen the case that happened just yesterday or the day before, the New York City controller who was in the fight with the ICE agents, he was taken in. The governor of New York showed up with him, raised the roof, and the prosecutors let it go. Was that the thing to do? I only saw the one video, and supposedly there's only the one video, so wasn't good enough to hold him on. But two things. One, the governor of New York, you know who she is sailing very close to the wind as far as she will be arrested probably. If she continues to elevate and escalate her situation, within one or two more incidents, she'll be in federal custody. But we'll talk about that at another time. If you have any questions on that, you can email us anywhere you want, any of the services we're using. We just started to use Substack as well because we're offering free pamphlets on different topics. So we had to have Substack so we could go to Gumroad. You know how it works. If you want to give things away for free, it's very hard to do so online. All right. So anyway, we'll get back to this here. ICE frequently sends what's called a detainer request to the local jails. These are not random or mass roundups. They're targeted holds for individuals suspected of being in the country illegally, often with criminal convictions. But in sanctuary jurisdictions, those detainers are ignored. All right. Local officials release individuals, sometimes violent felons, without notifying ICE. That's why you always hear they're hanging out around the courthouse, they're hanging out around the jail, because the local PD is not giving them the information that it normally would give them, which honestly, they are also breaking the law. And somebody, if you can't get the mayor to work, go ahead and arrest the chief of police. Why not? He's obviously just as bad as they are, right? you're going to have to do it to somebody. Somebody in the line has to get hit with the newspaper for shitting on the carpet. It's just a matter of who wants to take that newspaper hit, right? So, as I said, in sanctuary jurisdictions, those detainers are ignored. ICE is then left with only one option, which is to go into the field and apprehend those individuals in the community. So out in public, in a crowd of people, they have to do a takedown instead of just catching them in the jails or catching them at court. Look around any crowded street in a shithole like Boston, Massachusetts, or any of those other cities that are really big on this. Look at the amount of people that are in that street. How do you control that effectively with a five-man snatch team or something like that? Because how many people are you going to put in the field to get one guy is the other thing. They're trying to make it cost prohibitive. They're trying to make it where enough dumb citizens get in the way. Eventually, one will get shot, which will allow them to then have a major riot and tear the city up some more. The idea is to push the federal agents out of the community, which is also illegal. All right. So this is where the things escalate. Because of sanctuary defiance, ICE must now, as I just said, operate without local law enforcement assistance. So they have to double their work, track suspects across city streets, workplaces, or homes. Risk public safety, as I said, I got to take you down on the street by escalating what could have been a controlled pickup into a multi-agent at-large operation, or a shit show, as we would call it back in Spain. In so doing, ICE often encounters other illegal aliens at the scene. And this is where everybody gets all bent up and such. When these individuals are found to be in violation of federal law, they are also detained. We call it collateral damage. The ICE people call it collateral arrests. Wow, they really spent a lot of time on that one, right? So, and now here's the trap. Media outlets and activist groups seize on the imagery. ICE agents in tactical gear, families crying, activists shouting through bullhorns, and push a narrative of government cruelty. Let's stop here for a second, and I will say, as we do on every video out there, Elian Gonzalez, go watch the kidnapping of Elian Gonzalez from the house in Dade County and tell me who looks worse, all right? And after that, you can shut your mouths. ICE arrested a father of four with no criminal record. ICE arrested the next saint. ICE arrested the guy who was going to cure cancer, but he beat his old lady. So now he's got a felony. What they don't tell you is why ICE was there in the first place, which is to rearrest a released felon, right? Who was let go by choice of the sanctuary officials. So the mayor's office, the police department, everybody is involved in that side of it. So don't let everybody boo-hoo-hoo on the poor manhandled police department. The command and control in the police departments are always either implicitly or complicitly involved in this. You saw that in Los Angeles, right? So this is what we call engineered misdirection, political sleight of hand, okay? I'm doing something wrong. You're having to do way more to correct my something wrong. I don't acknowledge my something wrong. I point at the fact that you're doing way too much and you're wrong. That way, nobody looks at what I'm doing because I'm on the side of the angels. So basically, sanctuary cities and states defy federal law. Their actions force the ICE units into riskier and broader operations. The city and state then blame ICE for being heavy-handed. Media outlets run with the narrative that ICE is cruel and unaccountable, right? Meanwhile, the real architects of the disruption are the state governor, the city mayors, the local sheriffs, and they escape scrutiny entirely. They create the fire, then accuse the firefighters of using too much water. Okay, so here's something for all you guys, because I see slip and falls, and I see this other case that's going on where the boy was killed and the father killed the cop, and everyone's suing everybody and everything else fine. If you people are living in any of these sanctuary states and your abuela or your tia or your tio or whoever it was a saint, was curing cancer, was doing this and that, but had been in the country illegally for 15 to 20 years and was picked up during one of these other arrests for a big criminal, because then they have to do it. Your lawsuit is with the city or state that you're in. It's not against the ICE units if somebody gets banged up. It's against the city or state who have made the toxic or deadly workplace. You guys got to get some real attorneys. I'm embarrassed by the shit that I see out there because everyone's so safe. Toxic environment, all that kind of stuff. And this is for what the ICE units have to operate in, right? But they've also made it a dangerous place for you to be near one of these arrests. And they're going to say, well, it's dangerous when they make the arrest, so let's not arrest anybody. Well, how about we just make it where the arrests aren't dangerous, right? And that's when your TO fucking Pablo got picked up because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and now he's gone and all that stuff in there, you should be suing the city or state. And I'll tell you what, in a place like Massachusetts and Maryland, where Maryland, they want to give, they're so desperate to keep minorities voting for Democrats, they're going to do the slave reparations, although it's impossible to do because you'd have to go and you have to go and blood test everybody and do their genealogy and this and that and the other thing because people came from the islands or the DR or Haiti or whatever, right? It's impossible to do, but you say that shit to give the lowest financial people in the country hope that they can get rich quick. If you want to know what it's going to look like, Dave Chappelle did a comedy sketch where Tron becomes the richest guy in the world through a crap game after reparations. Watch the Dave Chappelle reparations thing. Maybe it's racist, but maybe it's true. All right, because you're talking the bottom 1 to 2% of the minority pool for the blacks, the tans, the whites, the whoever's. It's the same thing across the board. All right. So if you want to stop the chaos, look at that. Have your lawyer make some calls. I'll tell you what, you start getting suits in there because the mayor's office already has the money spent for the year. They allow a certain amount of lawsuits because they are self-insured. You sue a city, it doesn't go to Lloyd's of London. It has to go into its own pocket for the money. So there's your chance, people. Get that $25,000 to $50,000 that they're probably going to settle around that number anyway, and ask for $100,000 for my uncle being deported because the federal agents will be more than happy to come in to your courtroom and explain why the procedure had to change to this dangerous policy where your uncle got picked up, and it's all because of the mayor of Los Angeles, the mayor of Massachusetts, the governor of Massachusetts, the governor of Maryland. All these people have conspired to make this collateral damage happen, to force this violence on the people, to amp them up even more. Okay. It's not cruelty and enforcement. It's the political sabotage dressed up as compassion. And the fact that these people are their level of racism is so great. They'll say, well, I never say the N word or the S word or the J word or whatever, because you people are, and I mean you people, and all of us in general, but you people that are under on that 10% and lower on the finance thing, because you're cattle. You're cattle to be used from nose to tail, from the minute you're born till the minute you die to service a socialist state. And you know it, and I know it, we all know it. If you try to break the cycle, it's very hard to do. It can be done, but you have to have both the victimized and the people that want to stop victimization working together. You can't be John Brown. You see what happened to him, right? So that's where we are with this. I doubt it's going to change because once again, the easiest change would come from within, from the people doing exactly what I just said, making those complaints. A lawyer will do it in a minute. Every lawyer that I've seen involved in one of these wrongful death cases and shit like that is a lawyer that I wouldn't hire to draft a simple will. I would rather hire a semi-intelligent, I don't know, whatever, something that could have sentience about it. A dolphin. If a dolphin could hold a pen, I would have it prepare a simple will before I would let the last six lawyers that I've seen on television on these wrongful deaths and injury cases do a damn thing. So that's where we stand. Have a good day. It's Wednesday, June 18th. Let's expect to hear some good news from the Middle East, but you never can tell. And that's about it. See you later.